from the Minnesota Vikings, the 11-win Minnesota Vikings, taking care of business in front of the whole country in the greatest comeback we've ever seen on an NFL field. The quarterback of that team, Kirk Cousins, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Kirk?
Rich, I'm doing well. It's good to be talking to you again. It's been a little while. So we got a lot to catch up on.
It has been a while. First things first is the holiday season. How do you shoehorn in, being the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings and all that for this weekend, Kirk?
It is a unique time because we've got the game here on Christmas Eve. We'll have Christmas Day off, which you don't always get during the NFL season. But we got the gifts ready for our boys, and we'll put out the reindeer food and the cookies and all that on Saturday night after our game, and we'll make the most of it. And got a lot of decorations around the practice facility here, so we're having fun with it.
Okay, how old are your kids, Kirk? How old are they both?
I got two boys, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, so they're kind of just now embracing the magic of Christmas. So we're having fun with it.
When you came home, did they watch the game? Were they at the game this past weekend?
They're still at that age where they can't quite understand what Dad does for a living. My older one's starting to get it. He was at the game. He was in the child care, and my wife actually pulled him out middle of the second half, and he was able to watch. But he doesn't know what's going on. So I've always said to my wife and to others that my goal is to play long enough where my two boys can really be a part of it and remember it while it's still going on and not just have to be told about it when I retire. So hopefully we can do that. But a day like yesterday or a day like Saturday, I should say, is a memory that we'll have for a long time. Yeah,
my boys were, I think, 5-3 or 6-4 when they were at the Super Bowl in Arizona where, Malcolm Butler with that pick. And I keep telling them, you were at the greatest play maybe in the history of the Super Bowl. And they're like, really? I'm like, oh, gosh, you never know. But I love it. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show, terrestrial radio outfit has just rejoined our Roku channel broadcast. Kirk Cousins on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line here on the Rich Eisen Show after quarterbacking the greatest comeback in the history of the NFL. What was that like for you, Kirk, when it was 33-0? Walk me through that moment.
Yeah, I think that the challenge with being a part of a comeback like that is you do have to get down 33-0 for it to become a great comeback, and that's the part you don't love. But everything that could go wrong did go wrong in the first half. Turnovers certainly contributed, and we were really struggling on offense to move the football. We knew they were a tough defense going into it, and they showed that. And I really, at halftime, didn't understand how, because Patrick Peterson was saying all we need is 5 touchdowns, and I thought, you watch the first half, getting 1 touchdown is going to be tough, let alone 5. So I really don't know quite how or what happened to suddenly enable us to move the ball so well in the second half. But we did, and got some help from our defense, only allowing 3 points in the second half. And next thing you know, you're looking at the scoreboard and you're tied and going to overtime.
I mean, it is absurd when the rallying cry is, all we need is 5 touchdowns. But so right? But when was the moment where, to a man, belief shot through everybody's hearts and minds in that game, do you think?
I think there were some guys probably who believed earlier than others, but when I was on the bench and looked up and saw that it was a 15-point game with a good half of the fourth quarter left, I felt, this is very within reach. I mean, I had played against the Saints, and we were up 15 with 2.5 minutes left, and we ended up going to overtime and losing. So I knew that 15 points, being that it's just 2 possessions, can be, that lead can be gone fast. So I guess I kind of drew on previous experience, good and bad, to know that comebacks like that can happen. But the key was kind of getting back to within a 2-possession game with some time left.
What was it like in the locker room afterwards, Kirk?
Well, I think the combination not only of the comeback, but then knowing that also clinched us the division title, which clinches us a home playoff game, sort of created a snowball effect that made the post-game celebration all the better, and to do it at home as well adds to it. So, we're all just, celebrating, congratulating one another. Speaking of my boys earlier, I was able to kind of get my son Cooper down from the stands and bring him into the locker room for the first time post-game. So just, tried to make the most of it and have fun with it. And it was interesting because at the same time, there's still so much football left, and we have so much still to play for. So you want to enjoy it, celebrate it. These moments don't come around every week. But at the same time, know that, hey, this is not the end-all, be-all. We got a lot more football up ahead.
By the way, my youngest son's name is Cooper. He has Justin Jefferson on his fantasy team. You make him very happy, Kirk. I'll be very honest with you.
He's a smart GM to have Justin Jefferson on his team.
He is that. So I know you spoke to my colleague, Tom Pelissero, after the game when he told you that you had just helped architect and orchestrate the largest comeback in the history of the NFL. And you asked for a minute, which I thought was such a human moment. Like, I need a minute here. So now that you've had more than a minute, looking back on that, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, and at the time when Tom said that, I hadn't quite connected the dots that means that the previous record was the Bills come back against the Oilers in the playoffs with Frank Reich coming in. And that was a game that I've seen so many times on NFL Network, and you know the history of it. And so to sort of be at that level also meant a lot to me, being a football history buff and knowing what that game meant in NFL history. And I think so much of Coach Reich and all that he's been in the game of football. So it just sort of was a lot of history there, and I guess it's fun to have such a respect for the game and for this league, and then to feel like you were able to be a part of something that might last in this league. I think that's a real thrill.
Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings quarterback and the NFC North champion quarterback for this year, right here on the Rich Eisen Show, fresh off the largest comeback in the history of the NFL. So what is it like being Justin Jefferson's quarterback? Give me. You got a story where you knew, right? I know you got a story of him in the huddle, something in a film room that does somehow, some way. Obviously, the one-handed grab in Buffalo shows his incredible talent. But give me. You got something else that we might not know? A good story, Kirk?
Well, Justin's a pretty easygoing guy, and we were fortunate, to draft him in a place where there were 4 receivers taken ahead of him. And so to get a player of his caliber as the 5th receiver in the draft, we were very fortunate. And that was a COVID year where we didn't have OTAs, we didn't have training camps, so to the same level that we normally would. And so we really didn't know what we had until we got into the season. And it was really week 3 when we finally made him our starting X and said, all right, let's go. We don't know if he can do it yet, but let's put him in those positions. And I threw a fade ball in the middle of the field to him that's a little underthrown, and he went up and, for lack of a better term, mossed the guy and just kind of caught it over top of him. And I remember thinking, I think we hit on our draft pick. He's just fine. And he never looked back. I mean, that game he caught a, 60 or 70-yard touchdown pass as well. And the next week made some great plays. And you just realize, this guy's going to be a great player in this league. And my challenge to him now that he's in year 3 really has been, since he had such a breakout rookie year, has been you don't have to do anything different. You don't have to reinvent how you do it or what you do. The key is what you've done, you have to do again and again and again. And I said you'd be surprised how difficult that is for players to pull off. Many, many players are a flash in the pan, have a great year or 2, but then disappear. And I said, your goal has to be, Justin, to be somebody who does not disappear. And 10 years from now, we're still talking about what you're doing on a weekly basis. And he understands that. And 3 years in, he's really been able to hold to that.
Well, how does he take that when you say something like that to him?
Well, I think he takes it well. He understands, and he comes from a football family and knows what it takes. And I think this league can beat you up physically. It can beat you up mentally. You have your ups and downs. There's high expectations that at times can be difficult to meet when you play at a high level for a while. And so there's a lot of forces that come at you that can work against your ability to do it week in, week out, year in and year out. And so I just wanted to make him aware of that. And to this point, he really hasn't had any downs. It's kind of been up, and up, and hopefully we can keep that going.
What do you tell yourself, Kirk? What do you tell yourself? Seriously, I mean, you hear the narratives in this league. You don't have your head in the sand. That it's time for you to get to a championship game or win a championship. Or, I think you've dispelled the can't win under the bright lights of a nationally televised game. I think that's been dispelled. But you hear that. What do you tell yourself, Kirk?
Well, I just go back to what Mike Shanahan said, early in my pro career to our whole team back in Washington. He always would say, tough times don't last, tough people do. And I just have learned the truth of that statement time and again in this league. And you are going to face tough times. You are going to deal with narratives, and you are going to deal with people pointing the finger, and that's part of our job in this business, and that's okay. But I've learned that they don't last. They come and they go, and the key is that you last longer than those narratives would do, if you will. And so tough times don't last, tough people do. From Mike Shanahan, it's kind of always been something that I hold on to if things aren't necessarily going our way for a bit.
How has your new coach, Kevin O'Connell, Kirk Cousins, unlocked you a little bit in a way that perhaps you hadn't been before? You got something for me there?
Well, I think he's certainly, empowered not only me but many of the leaders on the team in just a way that he goes out of his way to whether it's compliment you in front of the team or give you sort of a mantle from which to lead. But at the same time, part of my challenge with a new system and new coaches was, hey, we've been doing some good stuff here with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, and hey, let's not change it too much because what we've done has been really working on offense, and so that's. But certainly we got to find ways to win more because we had been basically hovering around 500, and so I think Kevin's helped us find the inches to turn some of those close losses into close wins. And really, that's what this league is all about, is find ways to win football games. And it doesn't always have to be pretty. And this year it hasn't always been pretty, but when you can find ways to win, it sure makes for a great year.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to go. I don't know Mike Shanahan's history off the top of my head, but is O'Connell the first head coach you've ever had that's played quarterback? Ever?
That's a good question. Jay Gruden obviously was a arena quarterback, played college quarterback, so I'd say Jay was as well.
Right.
But in college, working with Mark D'Antonio at Michigan State, he was more of a defensive-minded guy,
right. And we all
had
know
a lot
about
of success.
We know about
with
Zimmer,
that style as well.
Right, and we know about Zimmer too. That's not his. Again, I just find it fascinating watching you play this year. It does seem like you're taking more chances. You're riskier, and the risks get a lot of rewards. I mean, again, I know that throw to Justin Jefferson was like a do or die, but I mean, you put it up there. You actually threw it up there. Like you seem to be less concerned about making mistakes this year, Kirk. Is that accurate or no?
I think that might be another one of those narratives that sounds good to say, but maybe when you actually study tape, because I think when you look back at previous years, there's still a lot of production. When you look at air yards and all that, there's a lot of that going on. But what I'm not going to do probably is run around and break tackles and stiff arm people and do all that. And so I think sometimes that can make you look like you're maybe less of the air yards guy or putting the ball up than it looks. But certainly in this system and the way I'm being coached this year, I would say there are probably a few more opportunities where it's really encouraged, to give Justin that chance. And I think playing with him a little longer, along with some other teammates, just continuing to learn their game and what they do well, probably that time on task together also helps you, trust it a little more and give him those chances.
Well, I appreciate the gentle pushback there, Kirk. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So the general sense around this team coming off that win, three games to go, you're going to hear the Skol chant for at least one playoff game. So what is the general sense around there? Do you talk Super Bowl openly? You don't? Just give me some. What do you got on that front before I let you go in the rest of your day?
Yeah, I think it's really what it's always been, and the healthiest way to approach it is, it's a Tuesday, so it's because we play Saturday. This would be like our normal Wednesday in this league, and I don't even know that we talk much about Saturday or the game. We talk about having the best possible Tuesday we can have here with practice and walkthrough and preparation and talking through all our different checks and calls and learning our opponents. So you kind of just try to take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and not get too far down the road. And we also realized that we were down 33-0 last Saturday, so there's plenty of bad football to clean up, plenty of work to do. And we've had a lot of games that we've won, but you just don't walk off the field feeling like you played your best football. And so we're still kind of searching for that game where we can really put a four-quarter performance together that's our best of the year and that meets our standard. And I think, we're still looking for that, and we got 3 weeks left before we get to the dance.
Well, Kirk, thanks for the time. I know Michael Irvin chose you as his MVP. He's got a "you like that" button on game day morning that he hits all the time. You've been making him hit it a heck of a lot more these days, too. So I'm enjoying watching that and enjoying watching you. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, that's fun. Michael's been shooting our horn all year, and hopefully we can make him right here as we go down the stretch. But should be fun, and it'll be exciting, and looking forward to our game on Christmas Eve. Thanks again, Kirk Cousins. Appreciate the call. Let's do this again soon. Have a great Christmas with you and your family. You as well. Thanks, Rich. We'll see you. You got it. That's right there. That's Kirk Cousins, quarterback, Minnesota Vikings. He's got that "you like that" button on the desk. He hits it, and then the lights go purple and gold. That's a great idea. Yeah, if he keeps hitting it, we're going to make him spell the word Jollerhorn on the air, and that will be great television. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.